Welcome back to the Dopesick Show you won't get sick of. I'm Spencer and this is Sasha. I spent most of my 20s in federal prison, but I've been off heroin since April 9, 2010. Got a whole lot of stories about the stupid stuff I did to get put in prison, and I've also got quite a few about the actual stuff that happened while I was in federal prison. And God forbid you end up in prison, you want to make some of the same mistakes I made. So, on my other channel, before I get this one started, boxing tonight. Scott Sigmund, former WBC champ, he's fought Roy Jones, Kelly Pavlik. He's putting on an event. Two of his fighters, my friend Owen Hilton, and a new friend Austin DeAnda, who's 9-0. I think he's 19 years old, and he's 9-0 in professional boxing with 6 KOs. Owen is just like 21, 22. I think he's 6-1, and he avenged his only loss in his last fight. So I mean, they're both, they're special. I'm gonna have that on the other channel. I'm gonna pin the comment. All you have to do is there's a little circle with me and Sasha in it. I got a judo sweatshirt on with the hood up, and I have like a saw in one hand, a knife in the other, and I look like and then Sasha, you see her big old head. I'm gonna talk about her having a big head. I got a big old head too. I do this when I used to days off, just go into deep thought, and people be, man, that head getting too heavy to hold up back when I was skinny. Oh man. And I was in jail. They ripped on me about that, which brings me, to this story. So Tupac's got a song where he talks about guy getting put in prison and turned him into a monster. Now I didn't go far like the dude in that song, because he talked about that dude doing peanut butter, and y'all know what I mean by that. That ain't for me. But anyway, it's something that happens. Some people, a lot of people get stored broke and all that stuff, but a good number of people transform into monsters as a response to survival throughout it. Okay. And that's something that you see. I saw a number of people do, specifically as they start to get stronger and they start to get bigger. And I remember, it's time when this guy made fun of me, and I was too small back then, so I just kept my mouth shut. People who fight all the time, I'll fight it, and you get the respect because you win. I respect anybody who's willing to stand up and fight. But there's some people who sit back when they don't fight. They know they're going to get whooped, and they just they don't get extorted or anything, but they take a little bit of ridicule. They accept that little bit of ridicule because they know, right now, I'm not in a situation where I'd win that. That would be stupid. That would make no sense. But as they get bigger, start lifting more, or get experience more fights in it, they remember. Yeah, I remember this person said that this time. They said this time. They want a little revenge. I have a story about a crackhead that became like a prison boxing champion. Ak was what they called him, which I'm pretty sure it's just short for Akbar, which, it's a Muslim name, so I'm pretty sure that's not his government name, but, lanky but very muscular. He had a son who went by Diablo, crazy. He ended up his son got like 17, 18 years. But Ak was known for knocking people out. He used to get beat up all the time. Got beat up by drug. I saw him beat up, his crack dealer beat him up back when he was skinny and a crackhead. And, I talked to him afterward. He was crying when he was talking about it, because he remember that guy had embarrassed him publicly. He brought a whole jar of change to that guy, and the guy smacked the change on the floor and, punched him in the face. Broke the jar. And he beat the piss out of that guy. I've got a story about that ways back, But he came back, he got his revenge. Well, just like that, with me, when I first went to jail for, the little over a year before I made bond, which I was in jail for the state charges, okay? And for my state charges, typically people get drug court. They don't go to jail for more than, a month, 2 months. And, because if you do a year and a couple months in jail, that's your sentence on a first-time drug distribution charge. So why do drug court too? That'd be like getting 2 punishments. Well, I did that. The reason for that was it was the only way that we could get the pre-trial federal probation officer to get on board with me getting out on bond, was if I did drug court, because they monitor a whole lot. But anyhow, when I went to jail, I was 135, 140 pounds. I'd gotten to my worst, complete rack of bones. I couldn't do 2 pull-ups. I was skinny fat at 135, okay? It's awful. And I wasn't gonna let nobody extort me, nothing like that. I wasn't gonna have that. And matter of fact, I ended up whooping this David Hasselhoff looking guy who's missing a front tooth. I thought he was trying to get my butt. That's another story too. But I had to smack some chili powder in his eyes and start flailing at him. I'm pretty sure I was so weak the punches and kicks didn't hurt nothing. I had chili powder in his eyes, had him screaming. Went into the hole for that. Came back, got a little bit of respect. People left me alone a little bit. But there were certain people that would just, they'd say stuff. What was I going to do? The average person in that unit is probably, I would say 40 years old. The majority of the unit was 40 years old to 60 years old. I was a kid, came in there, youngest one, small as could be. And there's one dude, he was young. He's probably, I think he was about close to 30, Garcia. Now, he'd do laps around the unit all day. And, he's a little smart aleck too. But he would walk around the unit, and every time if I'd be standing for myself, he did this thing. You know how people like buck, like when boxers do it, it's like a feint. Well, he would do that, but it would look so slow and labored, and when he'd go, and I'd just be like, and it irked me. It irked the piss out of me. It made me just but he could still lose about 40 pounds, but he's about 210 pounds. I was 135 pounds. Man, I had destroyed my body so bad, but I sit there and I got mad, and this anger builds up, and I'm mad that I'm getting charged with something I didn't do, facing 40 years, mandatory minimum to life. It might have been the death penalty for Max. I knew I wasn't going to get that, but the Max it's over, basically. I was mad about everything, but I lifted every day in spite of it. And people told me, well, you're not going to get nowhere, and if you do, you're just going to get back out and do drugs. And it made me so mad, and I lift that anger, lift that hate, lift that, and you see. And I got a little bit of muscle. I looked like I was jacked because I put on half muscle, half fat. I don't get a belly. I get the muffin top explosion, but where my shoulders were wider, you couldn't tell that, that was off the side. So I'm standing out in front of my cell, and this Garcia fella walked by, and I bet I don't cuss on here much, but I had enough of his shit, like you son of a bitch. And he walks around and he gets in front of me, and I'm ready for it. As soon as he approximates his little labor, boom, chest. I pushed him with everything. I stepped into it. I knocked him right on his butt. And he popped up in shock, not knowing, do I have to fight now? And, to give him a way out, because I could see he didn't want to do it, I said, shoot, man, you flinched. I said, you flinched kind of quick. He didn't. But I said, you flinched kind of quick. I mean, I didn't know if he was going to hit me. Sorry, man. And he, looked like puzzled. He's like, are the fights coming on later? I said, yeah. I said, me and Ray usually put them on after that. You know that. I said, I watch it. And he never did that again. Okay. It was one of those moments, but, anger, hate, you get put in a place like this, and it kept building. The hate kept building, the anger kept building. Okay. And you see people like that go in there a certain way, and they turn into something else. I had to do 7 weeks while I was in drug court because there was this awful woman at community service who had issues with my mom. Got kicked out of drug court. They had to let me back in because it was under false pretenses in which I got kicked out. Like, literally, it was that crazy. They had to let me back in because this lady basically had an issue with my mom, so she took it out on me. I couldn't figure out why she is so awful. And I was being as respectful as I could, and working twice as hard as everybody else there to try to win her over. But she had an issue with my mom. Her family member did, so there was no winning her over. I went to jail for 7 weeks. I thought I wasn't going to get back out on bond. That was in the middle of the 2 years I was out on bond. During that 7 weeks, now I got chubby at that point. The highest I'd been up to is about 228 was what I was up to in weight. And I had a good bit of muscle. Now I looked like I was just jacked. Okay, had a whole lot of weight. I had about 34 pounds of lube. I looked just like a big dude. I remember sitting in there, and there's this little guy Ferris. His family owns a bunch of the convenience stores around here. He's like Pakistani or something. He's a funny little fella, but. It's first morning. It's a smaller pod. It's in Roanoke County, which isn't too bad. It's only about a 35, 40-man pod. The other pods have a lot more. I sit down. I'm just watching play cards. I don't have nothing to do. And, my shoulders were really broad because I had all that extra weight. And I saw him look at me, then look at himself, then look at me. And he was doing this. And he goes, You work out, my friend? And the guy said, Nah, he just looks like that for no reason. Well, I got put in that jail pod. I thought I was going to prison. I thought I'm not getting back out on bond. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to kick that drug court, get more time for state. Then I'm going to have to go to prison in the feds. I'm going to be away for 10 years. So this is where this is going to start right now. We're going to start doing it this way. And I went in there and I sat down in front of the TV. And I just took it over. And I was a bit of a prick. Okay? It didn't have a whole lot of channels there, but I watched what I watched, and it was just how it was going to be because I decided I knew I was going to prison. I said I'm going to start off like this, because I'm not going to get run over. If there's wolves and sheep, I'm going to be a wolf, okay? And TV was my out. Other than working out, watch TV. So there's this fella, he's a Bosnian fella, a lot of Bosnians in my area, and he had like this white patch of hair in his beard, like his white circle. I'd keep my face shaved if I had this. It looked odd, like it looked really strange. But anyhow, lanky guy, and he didn't like that I had what was it, the Real World Road Rules Challenge. I had that on that night, okay, and he wanted to watch something else. I don't know. BT music videos or something like that. He was, B-Rad Malibu from the Hizzy. I mean, he's one of them. And, there are street people. They're playing street people that are white. But, then there are people that just sound corny. Okay? This guy was corny. Okay? It annoyed me. Annoyed me a lot. And he starts saying passive stuff. Makes, says something about the TV show, which would be a derogatory term since a certain sort of lifestyle. And I said, and at that point, he was talking in the background, annoying me enough. But when he said that, I said, "What the did you just say?" What? I said, you said this show was, and I'm sitting here watching this show. So if you're saying this show was this, and I like watching this show, you're calling me a. And he started mumbling, saying, and I said, I don't do that stuff. I just sat there like that, just did my arm like he ended up, but I was real aggressive with how I did it. And I had an issue with this other fella in New York who I ended up becoming friends with. Okay, this guy was about 6'4". He had a bad back, so he had a hunchback. Probably about 50, 60. Black dude from New York who was probably about 250, 280. He came in there, thought he was going to come in there and get that TV. I was like, you're a guest in here. This is my house. I'm going to be in here for 10 years. You're a guest. You're doing a couple months. That ain't happening. So he came in there and said, so what? Why don't we turn it to this? I said, because this is what we watch at this time today. Oh, so you watch the same thing every day? Yep. And I had to do, whenever I said that to the one fella, of course, the one fella was the one who's caused me grief at that point. I paid attention out of him out of the corner of my eye, and I saw him, and he kind of liked, we became friends. Oh, he'd make me laugh. We ended up becoming best friends. I couldn't stand it at first, man. I hated that dude. But I'd wake up to him yelling on the phone. If people wake me up, typically, I've been ready to fight. When I first wake up, I'm cranky. I'm like a little kid. It takes me a minute to get moving. So he woke me up, but I'm laughing. I was laughing so hard. I laughed so hard I was crying. I woke up to him saying to his girlfriend on the phone, because he gets a disability check, and apparently his check came in and she's spending his money. He says, "Bitch, you did what? No, you don't buy a whole carton. You buy a pack and you make that shit stretch. You bought a carton?" Talking about she bought a carton of Newports. And I was laughing because he's saying, "You make that stretch. You buy a pack." Oh God, he had me crying, and I came out later, and he goes, and he couldn't help. He wanted to be mad because he was trying to be serious with her. Him, and you mother, and he's laughing. He said, "I'm trying to be serious on the phone. I got you after laughing like a fool." Oh man, I wish I kept up with a couple of these people, but I couldn't keep up with him because he taught the people in there. He was selling his pills. Basically, he got disability, but in addition to that, he was selling Dilaudid and some other stuff. And I heard the conversation. I can't keep up with people like that. That's high risk for me. So just basically, I closed myself off in that bubble. But so that happened. And same thing, in these different parts, I'm having to adapt and be a prick and be this way because it's that wolf sheep type of deal. To where I'm a nice person. I'd like to think I'm nice. Anyway, I hope I'm nice. But when it comes to like waiters, clerks in stores, stuff like, you will never hear me be rude or order them around ever. You'll always hear me say, I will say please, thank you, and have a good day before and more than they do because I appreciate them. My mom worked 3 jobs, put herself through college. And she told me about working as a waitress at Golden Corral and the stuff she had to deal with. Okay? I can't stand people being rude to waiters and waitresses. Plus, you don't know what they're going to do with your food. I've walked out of a good many meals because of people doing stuff like that. So, with these manners and everything else, and I generally treat people how I want to be treated. Certain level of playing I don't put up with, so I don't play that way with certain people. Well, at all, actually. But being in here, in this prison, in this jail, I had to do that. Now, it did make me have a short fuse, and when I got out, I did have to work on a few things. It wasn't like I was going to go off and take off on somebody, but, if somebody said something I thought, wasn't cool, I had to address it immediately, loudly, and quickly. Okay. There have been a couple points outside, a couple people. People don't understand when you get out of prison, you got certain habits ingrained in you, certain words you do not say. There's a couple family members had issues with, basically acting like they want to fight, and I remember I threatened to put steel in one of them one night, I said, you better keep your, I'm not going to go into it, but anyway, certain people don't understand what you're programmed to respond with. And like even at the gas station, someone cutting in line, I was talking to my buddy Kevin Crockett, did 17 years. He said that was the hardest thing for him when he got out. Said he literally about went up and smashed somebody because this rude person just walks up and cuts people in line. There are these habits, and when you come home from prison, you got some ignorant person that's going to try you and just talk to you like you're anybody. Your response is smack them right there on the spot. That was a hard thing for me when I got out. I didn't have that response before I did time. So basically, it's kind of like, there's a Marilyn Manson song called Man That You Fear. And I know some people think, he's a good artist, okay? The only reason that you think of Marilyn Manson the way you do is because of the crazy stuff he does. And that is why he's famous. He did that to get attention. That is why he is the icon he is. He wanted you to think that way of him. But he has some songs that really hit home. Man That You Fear, the boy that you love is now the man that you fear, is, some of the lyrics of it says, I didn't choose this life, I was born into this, and all this. And that song, it's kind of the truth, this boy, it was like nice and everything else. I quick response, it changed. I think, there are a lot of counseling, a lot of time that I've gotten myself back for the most part. Okay. But I still do have certain responses. And I will say this. Prison, in so many ways, I don't suggest it to anybody. I'm definitely not saying it's a good place. It's helped me in a lot of ways. It's helped me speak up. It's helped me tell people to mind their business. I don't deal with nosy people. If they ask me what I'm doing, I say, I'm going to cure cancer. I'm like, no, for real, what are you getting ready to do? I said, I'm going to cure cancer. I said, met this doctor, got to go to Canada, then we got to fly out to Africa, and then there's some place down in Antarctica, we got to get this serum, and we're going to cure cancer. And, for real, don't worry about that. I'm doing. That's my business. What's wrong with you? You writing a book? I never would have said that before. I would have dealt with it, and I would have answered their questions, and they'd have ridiculed me, and I'd have dealt with it. I don't deal with that now. I don't deal with it. It also taught me that so many people, how bad a lot of humans in general can be. I know prison isn't the best representation, but since being out, a lot of prison is better than the actual people out in society from what I've seen. There are some good people in there, but certain things that it's changed, I don't have to be that person that sits there quiet and deals with someone trashing me to where I just sit and think about myself all night. There's a point where basically I decided, who are they? Who are they? To be telling me it's about them. This ain't about, look at them. You know, and no, it doesn't matter. Even if what they're saying is something that would have hurt my feelings. Nah, it's one of those things. They're attacking me, I attack back, and I'm gonna hurt your feelings bad. You won't be thinking about it for 3 days if I say something. Probably actually for months. But I would have dealt with that. I know it's been a little bit of a rant, but I was just thinking a lot about this stuff. Um, and it's wild because prison will change people. Okay, it will change people a lot. I mean, the stuff that you see on a daily basis. Oh shoot, sorry. I have a lot of respect and admiration for veterans that go over and serve. I actually was going to join. I didn't have a GED. I ended up taking the GED, and I got two perfects on it. Didn't study one bit. It was nerves. I thought to God I was going to fail. I'm in my head a lot, but anyhow, because of that I couldn't join. Probably better. I wasn't ready at the time. I would probably used drug. It wouldn't have been good. I have a lot of respect for veterans. Is my point. They see crazy stuff in war. Okay, now can't compare prison to that level of craziness, but there is a lot of stuff that you see in prisons. Okay, you see somebody, you're just walking, carrying about your business, maybe thinking about, I wonder what my family's doing this weekend. Something just in your head. Then somebody 5 foot away from you, three guys jump on him and put steel in him, and the guy's screaming like an animalistic scream, and you look over and you make eye contact with him. Okay, I give you PTSD. Okay, one of the ones I don't like telling this one, and I'll tell the whole story one day. But I knew that somebody's going to get hit. I knew somebody's going to get poked up, and I've been in the visiting room with this person a good many times. We were friends, and whenever I went to the visiting room the day before, his girlfriend had made friends with my family, and she she hugged me, and I knew it was going to happen the next day, but I couldn't say anything because if you do, then it becomes you. And as luck would have it, I was walking the track, and they jump on him, and start hitting him up, and I made eye contact with him, and he's looking like help me, and you can't do it. Stuff like that sticks with you. I hugged his girlfriend, know what was going to happen to him. He wasn't going to check in, and plus I can't tell him that if he checked in, then they would have came and got me. Your job in there is to get yourself out to your family. That's your job. This stuff sticks with you. It doesn't have to. Stuff doesn't have to happen to you for you to get PTSD. I mean, just shocking stuff happen to other people can do it to you. Listen to those two guys when the guard's out smoking a cigarette for an hour, then jump on that and do what they did. Yeah, bandit, whatever type stuff. It was horrific. That was horrific. I had to hear that for an hour, and everybody else went silent and was just had to listen to it while those two boys jumped on him and did what they did to him. And yeah, I'm not talking about a beating. I'm talking about the worst. Yeah, the guy will never be the same. You listen to something like that for an hour when you're locked in a cell. You can't tune that out, And this stuff, it mess with you. It mess with you a lot. You hear this type of thing, you're like, oh my Lord. So anyway, I know that was a little bit of a rant, but I talked about a lot of the funny stuff and stuff too. But that's something people don't think about. A lot of inmates that get out is there's stuff that lasts with us, that sticks, that we can act like it's all good and we're all better now, but it'll haunt you in your dreams, and it'll come out at the oddest times. And it certainly has happened with me. These memories, certain things can just set them off. Certain sounds, it can be whatever the room smelled like that day. Like if they had something cooking in the kitchen a certain time. There's one time it was Cinco de Mayo. They had menudo, which that stuff's awful. It smells like doo doo. It's like pig intestine or cow intestines. Ugh. It smells like a fart. It's intestines. Poop was in there, and it smells like poop. And people eat that. I don't get that. People say it's good. I don't know. I ain't gonna try it. But that smell, menudo or whatever, it's not. It doesn't smell quite like poop, but sort of like it. But I was in a restaurant and I smelled menudo, and I was like, it took me back to somebody walking up to somebody and poking him up. It just, like, it shocks you, like certain things can send you there. You recognize it, you acknowledge it, you don't even judge, that you're having that reaction to it, but you have to acknowledge it, you have to understand it, and you get past it, you move on past it. But anyway, I'm going to shut up now. My second channel's pretty funny. I talk gutter as can be on there. I had a 4x4 grow tent that I've got. I'm legally, 100% legally, in my state, I am off of federal probation. I'm no longer on federal probation or any sort of government supervision. I am legally doing the 4-plant, limit of what is allowed in the state of Virginia. You're allowed to have 4 plants in a household. Each person's allowed to have 4 plants, but it's 4 plants max per household. It can't be seen from the public road. Got 4 different strains, very interesting strains. Ghost Train Haze, directly from Rare Dankness, which is 2-time Cup winner. Seeds that came from a Cup winner. Gorilla Glue mixed with Original Diesel, then a Gorilla Glue mixed with Romulan, which was a freebie, but my God, that's the best one I got, I think. And then Black Dog, which is another interesting. It's actually an S1 of that. And I know a little bit about it. When you watch certain things, like where I'm, somewhere on the spectrum, like Asperger's, autism, it's somewhere lying on the spectrum of I am. I go in all the way. I have to know every single thing about it. You literally walk around with a computer in your phone, a computer in your pocket, which is a telephone. You can find out anything on the planet with a few clicks of a button. Why not do it? Like that, when I got out and I had access to this, so many people ask questions and they just wonder. You can so easily type it in and figure it out. Well, I go deep down into figuring stuff out. Although not an expert at all, I know enough to articulate how to do it in a way that would help you if you have an interest in doing that. If you follow what I do, you'll get at least you'll get at least four O's a plant. I get 6 to 8. But like, if you just don't know much about it and you just listen to everything I say, because I'm gonna cover everything, because I'm that obsessive, I cover every aspect. You get 4 plant. I'm positive. You can't not. If you follow the certain times and everything. So I'm gonna go that far into it. I've also got a picture of a grow that I did like a decade ago, of like Gorilla Glue and Girl Scout cookies. That's purple. Nighttime temperatures of 55 degrees and daytime temperatures of 70 during flower, and make the purples, pinks, oranges, red, all those colors come out. And the 55-degree temperature made these really pretty. So if nothing else, the thumbnail's worth looking at. The picture of that grow is really, they're pretty. I love growing it. I despise smoking it. I like doing every other drug on the planet, but I hated smoking weed. Edible, I could do minor, and they actually did help. And it's what I'm looking into for sleep. I think this could help me with that. But anyhow, that's on the other channel, Boxing Stuff Tonight. I hope you liked the video. If not, I've wasted 28 seconds and 18 seconds of your life, in which you'll never get back. Got some more regularly type of stories coming up and stuff like that. But this is kind of like a therapy for me. I spent 5 years without talking to anybody about this. I don't have any felons I didn't have any felons as friends. I trained jiu-jitsu, judo, and boxing with 99.99% of people that have never been in jail once. Okay, doctors, lawyers, train that, and just other professionals, and just regular people. Most of them don't even know about my past. And outside of training, I just came home and went back. Other than that, and then the individual stuff I do with addicts and the families of, I don't go out to eat. I don't go out to party. Don't go to bars. It was an existence of training 4 to 6 hours a day, 4 days a week, and 3 hours a day, 1 day a week, even Sunday, for 5 years. And basically, Rick from Vegas Prison Stories made me feel guilty that and because Weevy's like, please come on, man, Big Weevy, doing time with Big Weevy's awesome. And Rick's like, you're a piece of crap if you don't come on. You're going to hurt Weevy's feelings. And since then, it's kind of opened me up from my small little world that I put myself and close myself off to. So talking on here helps me. So, hopefully this was entertaining in some respect, or informative at least. But this is one of those videos that, do videos for y'all, but this is one of those videos I did for me too. The one thing I talked about is really hard. I can't even. Never mind. Can't talk about that. That still gets to me. But anyway, hope you liked the video.